This was the best I've ever felt, and I think it's the best I've ever looked. And it's because I was not trying to fit into any kind of trend or didn't care what anybody else was doing. Gosh, the fragrance for this would be by Byredo. I like my fragrance to smell a little bit like I just drank and I just smoked, even though I do neither. And I have no idea why, but I think it's a sexy smell.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Jackson-Mosley. I'm the Integrated Marketing Director and a resident scent superfan at Scentbird. Today, I'm sitting down with Tan France, the celebrated fashion expert, author, and TV personality best known for transforming lives through style on Queer Eye, which is now in its 9th season on Netflix. This is an exciting time for Tan, as he and the cast are touring the U.S. on the Fab Five Live tour. You can get tickets on fab5live.com. Tan seamlessly blends cultural influence with modern fashion, empowering others to truly express themselves with confidence. Today, we're going to find out how he uses fragrance to empower himself and his iconic looks. We adore his vibrant personality, style, and commitment to fashion, family, and diversity. Welcome to Scent World, Tan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Brittany.
I love your wonderful, lush green turtleneck you have on.
It's not mine. I stole it from my husband's drawer this morning.
Thank you, Hubs, because the turtleneck is really it's cute, really right? Giving today. I'm obsessed. So cute, but that's to be expected for a fashion expert and icon like you, nice. Of course. Do you happen to be wearing a scent today to match your outfit?
I always wear a scent.
Which one are you wearing today?
Today I'm wearing Byredo 1996.
Ooh, could you tell me about some of the notes that you really like in the scent and how it matches what you wanted to give off today?
Okay. So here's the thing. Mostly I wear the same scent. I wear the same brand. Just so you know, I'm not sponsored by this brand in any way. So now I can gush without it feeling like it's SponCon. Byredo, I will flip-flop between 2 or 3, but this scent has been my scent for probably 7 years. It's woody. It's a little smoky. I like my fragrance to smell a little bit like I just drank and I just smoked, even though I do neither.
Yes.
I don't have those vices. I don't smoke and I don't drink alcohol and I don't take drugs. And I want my scent to smell like that, and I have no idea why, but I think it's a sexy smell, and I think it works well with my natural, whatever you call it, my body. I think it works well with that. I like 1996 because it reminds me weirdly of the 90s. I know that sounds so stupid, but have you, obviously this is normal, I guess. When you smell something, it takes you right back to a time more so than anything else. Scent can take you right back to a moment better than anything else. But I think that usually is applied to food. Whereas when it comes to this fragrance, I feel like my teenage self, the first spritz in the morning. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that feeling.
I love that. I totally agree with you. Fragrance really takes you back to a time and place, and it has so much memory attached to it. I know those senses are super linked.
In my high school in the 90s, and maybe this was just a British thing, not an American thing, but there was a fragrance that every boy used, and it was called Izzy-Miyake. I don't know the name of the fragrance, but it was Izzy-Miyake.
It's Lotus A.
Yeah. Everyone used it. And I smelt it on somebody a few months ago, actually one of our Queer Eye heroes. And I smelt it and I was like, oh my God, I know that. That's my that's my first boyfriend. And I knew it immediately. And it took me right back to the feelings that I had in school. It was a very bizarre feeling. Yeah.
I love that. So your ex-boyfriend, that's a beautiful memory for you, it sounds like.
Memory.
Because when I smell Axe body spray, I'm taken back to some exes that I would like to forget.
Yeah. However,
I think that was American Boy was like Axe, and or Abercrombie Fierce, which I don't have the bad connotation. It depends on the
ex. I do. Mine isn't a bad feeling because of an ex. Sorry, Abercrombie and Fitch, I cannot stand those fragrances. It's because they used to permeate the mall. You could smell it. You knew there was an Abercrombie or a Hollister 3 minutes away from that store because it smelled so intensely and you could never go in because you couldn't breathe.
Let's go back and talk about your childhood a little bit. I know you grew up in the UK. Is there a scent in particular, whether it be fragrance or just a general smell of something that reminds you of your early years and being back home?
It's a fragrance that I still, or a smell that I still experience now. Indian food. Or Pakistani food. For so many who aren't from my part of the world, they have an adverse reaction to that smell. However, for me, it meant security and comfort and joy. And all the most positive feelings. Like, don't get me wrong, when I went to school, those scents weren't well received. So it also had the opposite effect, where it didn't bring joy. It bred embarrassment and shame. But really, when I look back now, with maturity, I can see that that was never my problem. That was theirs. That fragrance was lovely. My mum was providing food for us that was nourishing, but also tasted incredible. She's a great cook. And I still enjoy that practice of cooking for my children and my husband today. And that food is mostly South Asian food. Mostly it's Indian and Pakistani food. And I think the smell is gorgeous. So yeah, it would be food more than anything that really takes me right back. That's the most nostalgic thought for me.
I love that. And I absolutely love, it's really inspiring how much you rep your heritage. Yeah. And for those that aren't familiar with some of the smells of the food that you're talking to, could you talk about maybe what some of those specific spices are that really bring you back?
The one that I noticed the most, and as soon as it hits the oil, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. It's cumin. Cumin seeds in oil smell incredible. And then saffron in rice smells beautiful. And those things more than most. I mean, also just a turmeric in a yogurt smells beautiful. And as soon as it hits the plate, I'm like, yeah, I know that smell. I know exactly how this is going to taste, and I'm going to love this experience. So yeah, there are a few spices in particular. There are many that I use. I use garam masala, which is really fragrant, and I create my own version of garam masala. There's paprika that smells lovely. The chili just hits your nose, and there's no real fragrance. You just know it's gonna sting. So every one of the spices has a fragrance, but there's something about cumin and saffron that is just warming.
Ugh, wonderful. I absolutely adore those scents as well.
I'm just going to go off on a tangent for a second. You know what's really annoying to me?
Please. Tea.
I would like to believe I'm very positive, but I think to be positive, you also got to see the negative and accept that things are bull. And one of the bullish comments I see a lot on Instagram or hear a lot is that South Asian people smell because of the food that we cook and consume. I'm like, no. If anyone who makes Indian food understands, you cook your meal, then you shower and you freshen up and you've got your fragrance on, and then you smell of that. Like, even in Western food, you use onions and garlic and whatever, and you're not just going to cook, have that permeate your entire being and think, now I'm going to go enjoy my day. Also, we use deodorant or antiperspirant. We use fragrances. They're really important to our people. And if you've met a stinky person, that's just a stinky person. And I know a lot of cultures that have a stinky person. I know a lot of white stinky people, but I also know a lot of white people who smell amazing. So yeah, for anyone who's like, well, he's brown, what does he know about smelling nice? I know. I'm a very clean person.
You know what? We need to do a PSA for people who are listening. PSA. If you encounter a stinky person,
that's just a stinky person.
It's on that stinky person. Mm-hmm. So I also am obsessed with your home, which you're calling from now. It is so beautiful. We are live with Tan from Salt Lake City, right? And in your review of your home with Architectural Digest, I actually saw that you have a dedicated candle closet.
I do. So my laundry / candle closet, which really is just a candle closet, is like the size of a really nice corner office in a fancy New York building.
Ooh. It's called square footage, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, this candle closet just so happens to have a laundry room.
It's like 300 square feet. It's a really decent sized candle closet.
That's wonderful. Could you talk about some of the scents that you currently have stocked?
Yes. Diptyque Bay, however you pronounce that, is my favorite. I have a few of the large ones just in case I might run out. And then I have a bunch of a company called Sniff, SNIF.
Yes.
They have a fragrance called Sweet Ash and something Karma. Karma as in Kama Sutra, but it's not called Kama Sutra. So I flip-flop between those two. And then I have a couple of Tom Ford candles. So I buy a heck of a lot of the same candle. Like I have at least 10 to 20 of each of those. I like a scent profile that when you enter my home, you're like, yeah, I know that Tan Home smells of this.
Something identifiable.
Yeah. And that's why I like to stick with my, when I mentioned 1996, and before 1996, I had a different fragrance. I like the idea of if you don't see me and I just walk into the room and walk out of the room, you're like, oh, Tan's here. And my castmates know.
Yes, you're leaving a trail.
If I'm not in the trailer, they smell the smell. They know I'm on set. I'm filming something right now because Tan's fragrance is around.
I love that. Well, a little birdie told me once that one of your favorite fragrances is Vera Wang for men.
It is. I haven't worn it in about 7 years. But that was before I got Queer Eye. It's weird. I don't know why I changed it. But before I got Queer Eye, Vera Wang for Men was definitely my fragrance. I think it's so beautiful. However, I find it quite soft for me now.
So now you've moved into more like of a bold territory.
This is going to sound so ridiculous considering I am the gayest of gay men, but I like that 1996 has a slightly more masculine smell. I don't care about masculine and feminine in any other walk of life. But when it came to smell, I loved Vera Wang's, but when I say softer, it smelled a little bit like it could be unisex. And I know 1996 is unisex, but it smells like a musky man's fragrance. And so I prefer a slightly harder fragrance than a softer fragrance now.
Yes. I mean, and you're kind of speaking to this idea of scent as expression. Yeah. Like it's a part, like it's an accent to who you are or maybe what you're wearing. And maybe you want to feel a little bit more, when you spray on the scent, you want to feel a little bit more rugged and masculine.
Do you know what the funny thing is? Yes, I agree with all of that. But I also want to feel mature. I'm 40 now. And I want to smell like a man who one might want to take seriously as opposed to the clubber that I was at 20. Like, I'm not looking for a fun clubby smell. I'm looking for I'm a father. I'm a professional.
Yes.
I am successful.
Absolutely.
Well, also, I spend so much time in my home. I work from home most of the year. Like, I shoot maybe 3 to 4 months of the year away, but then I don't have a normal job. I don't go to an office. And so my bedroom is my office. My home is where I spend the majority of my time. And so I want to have all those experiences in my own home.
I love it.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break for our first ever Scentbird news, where we are going to bring you the latest and greatest news of everything happening on Scentbird.com. Today, we're taking you inside the world of Chris Collins, who just launched his new fragrance on Scentbird.com, Oud de Lis. It is a gorgeous, sensual gourmand that I cannot wait for all of you to smell and can't wait to hear what you think about it. So, for this special installment, Chris shared on Instagram 3 ways to level up your signature style. Take a look.
So here are 3 things that I think every man should invest in. You should invest in your fashion, into your clothing. You should also invest into your accessories, watch, jewelry, shoes. Also invest in your fragrance. And I'm going to tell you why. All 3 come together to form what you would call your wardrobe. And your wardrobe would consist of clothes, accessories, and the fragrance. And they have to work in unison. The fragrance has to fit the attire that you're wearing. Your accessories has to fit the fragrance that you're wearing, all intertwined. So depending on what your style will depend on which fragrance you wear, the way you dress, and your accessories. So those are the 3 categories that I think every single man should invest in.
So Tan, you are known for your standout red carpet looks and iconic fashion choices. Let's take a little bit of a detour and play a game that we like to call Rate the Look. So we're going to share some looks, and we want to get your quick takes. Rate them, let's say F to A, okay? And then share a scent that you think would complement the look or describe the scent. So here's the first one we have. This is 2020. Give it a letter grade as if you were a school teacher.
Do you know what? At the time, it felt like a B. No, it felt like an A, otherwise I wouldn't want it. But now it's like a C. So unfortunately, for now, it's a B, C maximum. And the fragrance profile I would give it was smoky, because it feels like I was in a speakeasy. Okay, next.
Okay, the 22 BFAs.
This is an A+. I would rock this look today. I love this look so much, and I felt so good in it, even though I was freaking freezing. And the fragrance I would a lot to this, and I actually did wear, was 1996.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And this was epic. This is so, so epic. You were one of the first people to wear a South Asian inspired outfit at the Emmy Awards, gracing us all with your presence in 2019. Tell me, how would you rate this?
I still love this. And I felt so proud. And so, yeah, I wore a Shivani suit. And so I would give this an A+. As far as the fragrance,
oh, me too.
I don't know the fragrance of that, but it would be decadent.
Decadent,
luxurious,
luxurious, real authentic. Okay. And we also have this.
Oh my gosh, I know what this is. This is a Monse look that I wore, even though I love Monse. It was for the Daily Awards, or Daily Front Row Awards, they were called. I think this was 2019. Was it 2019? Am I right?
Yes, 2019 Daily Front Row Fashion LA Awards.
It is an F. This is no shade to Monse, but Monse is a women's wear brand, and they wanted me to go, but I found out the night before, and so they sent over 3 things, and this was the only thing that actually fit my body. I would ordinarily never wear because it doesn't fit and it doesn't go with my style at all, but I was kind of forced to wear it.
But thank you for your service, though.
I mean, I was there, so it is what it is. And at this event, Lady Gaga acknowledged my existence. She knew who I was, which was very strange. And Sia sat on my lap during most of the event because they didn't provide a seat for her. So she came over and she was like, I feel like I'm safe with you. Can I sit on your lap? And I was like, yeah, of course you can.
That is the best story I've heard all year. So thank you. So we have one more look in this Rate the Look. It is going to be our last one for the day. It is absolutely iconic. It is from last year, 2024, at the Vanity Fair Oscar party.
This was the best I've ever felt, and I think it's the best I've ever looked. And it's because I was not trying to fit into any kind of trend or didn't care what anybody else was doing. So I designed this myself, and I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I would wear this again this year if I had to. And the fragrance for this would be 11th Hour by Byredo.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good scent.
Which is gorgeous. It's sweet, but it's sophisticated. Yeah, I felt like royalty that night.
I am so here for this look. It is absolutely epic, and you designed it. You showed off your fashion skills, your chops. All of it's just such an epic look. So you have 2 wonderful, beautiful children, and you mentioned, you're stepping into a new era of your life. How has fatherhood changed your life?
Gosh, in so many ways. First of all, and this is not to denigrate anybody who chooses to not have kids or doesn't have kids, but I always wanted kids. I always felt like I was destined to be a parent. Even when I was in my early to mid-teens, I used to talk about how excited I was to finally be a father one day. And so it just felt somewhat inevitable for me. Even if it didn't happen, I was going to try. And it did for me what I thought it was going to do and I hoped it would do, which is to show me a version of love that I never thought was possible. It has made me love deeper than I ever expected. I don't think one could ever feel a love like this without having a child. And again, that's not to denigrate anybody who doesn't. And if you don't want, fine. And I had amazing love before then. I thought when I met my husband, that this was the greatest love I could ever feel. And then I had my children. I'm like, no, nothing comes close to this love. But it also, it changed my life in a way that everything revolves around prioritizing my children, which of course has to be the case. And so it has changed my life in a way that it's no longer just mine. And the choices I make are based on what will be right for my children. I'm not as risky as I used to be. I won't do a dangerous activity. I used to boulder. I used to love to rock climb without ropes. I don't do that anymore. I won't. If somebody asked me to do, I've never skied, but somebody asked me to ski recently, and I was like, well, I am free. I could do it, but I'm not willing to risk injury. And so it just has made me hyper aware of the fact that my life is not about me. It's about my children, and I'm going to do all I can to make sure that I'm staying alive as long as I possibly can and protecting myself so I can protect my children.
They're so lucky to have you.
Nice.
You sound like an amazing father.
I love being
Obviously,
a
I'm
dad.
not there every day, but that's something that comes through, and it's really easy to tell how much you love your family. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm crazy about my boys. They're the best thing in the world.
Do you feel like as a fashionable father that you kind of style your kids at all?
Yeah, I feel like the pressure is on to do so. So I always wanted to have my babies in onesies, and I did. And even my 1.5-year-old is typically in a onesie because I think it's gorgeous. And especially a onesie that's one size too small because he's really fat, which I love a fat baby.
Aww.
And so when you have a onesie that's slightly too small and you see all the rolls, I'm like, that is gorgeous. So why I wanted my baby.
Yes.
And so, because they're just so snuggly and they can barely move in the onesie, I'm like, yeah, that's my fat boy. And then I've got my eldest who's now in school, and therefore you just feel like you've got to make somewhat of an effort. And so I put a relatively decent look on him every day. However, I really like for children to look like children. I'm not dressing him as I see many people on social media dressing their kids like they're a 25-year-old influencer. Right? And I'm like, just let them be a kid. They don't want a fussy outfit. They just want a sweatshirt and some sweatpants and they're good to go.
Yes, I love it. So your eldest, it sounds like maybe he's developing a sense of style on his own a little bit. Are you seeing that at all?
Yeah, it's so annoying that he'll give an opinion. I'll put something on. He's like, can't I wear this thing instead today? I'm like, oh, I hate that you already know. Yes, sure. Put that other thing on. Does it go? No. But if you want it, fine.
I love it. I mean, he's a mini
He's
you.
a mini me. He looks identical to how I looked at that age. And so he is truly a mini me. He's also very loud.
I don't know if you've heard, but one of the fastest growing segments of fragrance consumers is teenage boys. So
they need it.
They're going into Sephora.
They need it.
Just wait. They're going to, the oldest one is getting to that age where he's going to be like, hey, Dad, I think I'd like a Tom Ford fragrance.
I know.
We have to talk about this awesome tour that's coming up, the Fab Five Live tour. It's going to be around the U.S. Can you tell us what the plans are for that?
Okay, I know we're going to LA, New York, DC, Philly, and Chicago. We've got a few in a cluster that week, starting the 19th of February, and then we've got LA, March the 12th. What do you need to know about the show? I think it's an hour and a half. We're going to play a bunch of games to get to know us individually better. We're going to have some surprise guests that we're really excited about. We're going to do a get to know you of Jeremiah better because it seems like the audience fell in love with Jeremiah this season. He's the new cast member and we all love Jeremiah. We really want everyone to really get to know him. And we want people to bring their friends, bring their chosen family. We want it to be a big old celebration of positivity and joy. We're not ragging on anyone. There's nothing negative about the show. It's just all uplifting. We want people to leave and think, even though I've never been on Queer Eye, I feel like I just got queer-eyed.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And if anyone has watched the show, knows the show, I would like to believe if you've ever met any of us in real life, there's no real difference. We're an unscripted show. We're not a reality show. We've never called ourselves a reality show. We're not like the Kardashians or any of those shows where they fight a lot.
A Real Housewives.
Yeah, like we're not produced like that. When no one says this person said this about you, that person said this about you. Now go fight. Or we're going to pretend that you're really into pottery, so let's film a scene. Like we don't do that. It's just, what do you want to do this week? Where do you want to take them, Tan? What do you want to put them in? What do you want to talk about? And so it all comes from us. And so I'm hoping that people feel like, oh, I just got to hang out with my friends tonight, and it was a real laugh.
And you had a good time.
Yeah.
So how would you say you tailor your wardrobe for each stop? I'm curious.
Okay. So obviously I look at the weather forecast beforehand. But if this were 5 years ago, my answer would be very different. Now my answer is, I want to look back on this tour and think, oh, that was just refined and sophisticated. So I'm not having any wild moments like I would have. No trends. I just want to wear chic suits, casual, but chic suits, or great tailoring with a great coat especially for Philly and Chicago, because it's freaking freezing.
Yes.
And I want people to think, God, he looked chic. That's all I want. That's what
I love it.
And when I put on a look like that, I always feel a certain way. Like when I'm in streetwear, I feel casual and I feel vulgar, and I am vulgar, and I'm always vulgar. But when I've got, and I'm really trying to control that today, but when I've got a suit on or something that feels tailored, I'm like, no, I feel like a grown up here, and I feel like I'm a real professional, and I like that.
I love it. So when you're for the streets,
I'm for the streets.
You're for the streets.
I need you to know.
And when you're lending expertise, we're wearing
That's
suits.
right. I need you to know that I was raised, I know we don't have the class system as much in America, but the class system is very strong in England. I was raised working class. That means that we were the poorest of the land. And that means that we don't have the refined sophistication of the fancy folk. And so I swear a lot. And I talk about things that are wildly inappropriate. And so I think that people think that Jonathan's the naughty one. No, the edits on me are so intense.
You're the naughty one?
Oh my gosh, of all of us, I am the most vulgar and disgusting. Yes.
Okay, so I want to talk about the Fab Five a little bit, just in terms of scent. Okay, so I'm going to name a member of the Fab Five, and you tell me what they smell like. You can be as naughty or as literal as you want to be.
Okay, so first of all, weirdly, I don't know why this has come to mind, but Karamo smells sensual. His fragrance is slightly sweeter than the others. So it's got a feminine, his fragrance has a slight femininity to it.
Jonathan,
hot slut is his term. And he smells musky. He likes a musky smell. Tobacco-y.
Ooh, Anthony,
I know wears Byredo. I don't know which one of those. He smells chic. Woody, cedary.
Chic. Jeremiah.
I know that this is a similar word, but Jeremiah smells rich. I don't know what he wears, but it is, it's not far off mine. That wasn't meant to be a backhanded compliment for myself. But it smells whiskey, cigar-y, manly.
Some boozy, masculine, maybe warm notes.
Yeah. It's like a spice. It feels like a pumpkin spice latte is what it kind of gives me. Fall. He's giving fall.
He gives you fall.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay. So, Tan, we're almost out of time. But before we wrap up, if there was one message you could send to our audience about personal style and self-expression, what would it be?
Forget what you see the hot boys and hot girls do on Instagram. Look, it's wonderful for inspiration, but they look a certain way, they live a certain way that isn't like the majority of us mere mortals. And so I would say find the things that make sense for the life that you have and lean into that and find the best versions of those things. And so forget that the hot trend is a miniskirt. If you're not the miniskirt girl, but you are a maxi girl, get the best version of maxi and rock that.
People are so governed by what's trending and like being out of style, but You're giving us permission, and you give us permission every day to be
Thanks.
ourselves. And that is so amazing. We love you for it.
Thanks. That's all one should do. I mean, it's your life you live in. Forget everyone else.
Amen. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So it's been such a joy to have you on Scent World, Tan. Thank you so much. And everyone, please go see Tan and the awesome Fab Five Queer Eye cast live in person during the Fab Five US tour. Get your tickets at fab5live.com.